Hello everyone. Let's begin with a new chapter, Globalization and Indian Economy. Now this chapter deals with globalization. Here you will get to know the integration between countries through foreign trade and foreign investments by multinational corporations or MNCs. You will further get to know the role that MNCs play in the globalization process. The final section of the chapter covers the impact of globalization and the extent to which the globalization contributes to the development process. So, production across countries. Now, trade was the main channel connecting distant countries. Large companies, which are now called the multinational corporations or MNCs, play a major role in trade. An MNC is a company that owns or controls the production in more than one nation. MNCs set up offices and factories for production in regions where they get cheap labor and other resources so that the company can earn greater profits. For example, suppose there's a company XYZ and that company manufactures, say, computers. Now, for manufacturing computers, they can get good amount of technology, say, in America. They can get good amount of hardware, say, in Europe. And they can get a good amount of labor in, say, Africa, and call centers and good engineers who can communicate very well in India. So they are going to set up their software offices in America, their hardware ones in Europe, their labor from Africa, and their call centers in America. Sorry, not in America, but in India. So, like this, they can save loads and loads of costs, which they are going to actually incur when they have to produce that product of computer. This is how an MNC works because it's actually a multinational corporation. Plus, it's actually doing what? Getting cheap labor and other resources from various distinct countries, and it's connecting them with the help of what? With the help of trade. So this is what an MNC is, and this is how the production across countries are done with MNCs. So interlinking production across countries. How is it actually done? Interlinking production across countries. Now the money that is spent to buy the assets such as land, building machines and other equipments is called your investment. An investment made by MNC is called foreign investment. So the investment which is made by MNC is termed as what? Foreign investment. MNCs are exerting a strong influence on production at these distinct locations. As a result, production in these widely dispersed locations is getting interlinked. There are a variety of ways, as mentioned below, in which MNCs are spreading their production and interacting with local producers in various countries across the globe. By setting up partnerships with the local companies, by using the local companies for supplies, and by closely competing with local companies or buying them up. So, this is how the MNCs are interacting with the local producers in various countries. Alright. Now MNCs does what? They set up production jointly with local companies. Now this is going to benefit the local companies in what ways? Firstly, MNCs can provide money for the investment, like for example buying of new machineries for fast production. And secondly, MNCs might bring them the latest technology for production. So this is how the MNCs are going to help the local companies, and how the local companies are going to help MNCs. They'll also provide them with land, they can provide them with cheap labor, they can provide them with logistics, etc. So this is how the small companies can help MNCs, and this is how MNCs can help your small companies. So let's move forward. Foreign trade and integration of market. Now, foreign trade creates an opportunity for the producers to reach beyond the domestic markets. Producers can sell their products not only in the markets located within the country, but can also compete in the markets located in other countries of the world. So, similarly, buyers have the options to choose among various goods beyond domestically produced goods. Thus, foreign trade results in connecting the markets or integration of markets in different countries. So this is what foreign trade is, and this is how foreign trade actually helps in the integration of our markets. Next is what is globalization. So let's understand what exactly globalization is. Globalization is the process of rapid integration or interconnection of countries. MNCs are playing a major role in your globalization process. More and more goods and services, investments, technologies are moving between the countries. This is what is globalization actually, like one aspect of it. And there is one more way in which countries can be connected. How? This is through the movement of people. So, movement of technology and investment between the people, and movement of people indeed is what is globalization. So, factors that have enabled globalization. There are two main factors which we are going to discuss right now, which have actually helped to enable globalization. The first one is technology. Now, rapid improvement of technology has been one major factor that has stimulated the globalization process. This has made possible much faster delivery of goods across long distances at lower costs. The developments in information and communication technology have made information instantly accessible. Liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Actually, this liberalization, that is the LPG policy, okay, LPG policy, that is liberalization, globalization, privatization in India, was done in 1991. Okay, so it was done in 1991. This was a policy which came in India. But let's read what's given. So, liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Trade barriers are some restrictions that have been set up by the government. The government can use the trade barriers to increase or decrease the foreign trade and to decide what kinds of goods and how much of each should come into the country. Tax on imports is an example of a trade barrier. Removing barriers or restrictions set by the government on trade is called what? Liberalization. When the government imposes fewer restrictions than before, it's said to be more liberal. So this actually, liberalization is when the trade barriers are removed. Privatization is when obviously the assets are handed to the corporates. And then what is globalization? Globalization, we have just studied what it is. So this LPG policy actually came in India in 1991, and it was like one of the most important policy. Why? Because before this there was like a very little liberalization, and the Indian government actually opposed all these kinds of things, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. So that's why this is like one of the most important policies. Just go and Google it. It's very interesting, like very interesting. So let's move forward. World Trade Organization, that is WTO. So what exactly is your World Trade Organization? So World Trade Organization, or WTO, is an organization whose aim is to what? To liberalize your international trade. At present, 164 countries of the world are currently the members of World Trade Organization. It has established rules for developed countries regarding international trade so that these countries can allow free trade for all. So what exactly is World Trade Organization? World Trade Organization is, you can say, like it's a supreme body who is actually responsible for the trade at your international level. So this is what your World Trade Organization, which foresees and which regulates the trade at international levels. Now we have actually studied that what globalization is, what World Trade Organization is, what are the factors which enable globalization and all that. But can you answer one question of mine, like what is the impact of globalization in India? We live in India, right? We know that what is globalization. We know what is World Trade globalization, like World Trade Organization, not globalization. It's a WTO. Okay, so it's World Trade Organization. So, but there is this one question, that what is the impact of globalization in India? Can anyone tell? Okay, let's just study. So, the impact of globalization on India. Now, globalization has impacted the lives of people in India in the following ways. It has provided greater choices to consumers who now enjoy an improved quality of goods at lower prices, and it has resulted in higher standards of living. Now, how? First and foremost thing, Because of this globalization and liberalization, what has happened? All the people who are actually manufacturing goods in any foreign country can bring their goods in India. They can do trade with India. So, because of this, what is happening? There is a greater amount of choice which is available to us. Like, for example, in terms of clothes, we have Zara, okay, we have Tommy, we have Levi's, we have so many brands. So, we have what exactly? We have choices, we have greater choices. So, we can actually choose as to what is good for us and what is not. We can see that what is good at a lower price and what is good at a higher price. Okay, so we can make comparisons and choose that what is good for us and what isn't good for us. And the second is that it has increased the standards of living, obviously, because more money, we are spending money, we are availing those services, so it has obviously increased the standards of our living. Globalization has also created new opportunities for companies providing services, particularly in the IT sector. Alright, like for example, there are more software companies, there are companies who are actually providing all those kinds of services like call centers and all. So, this is how globalization has impacted India, I would say. Let's move forward now. I hope you have understood this. So, the last topic is the struggle for a fair globalization. So, what are the struggle of your fair globalization? Now, the fair globalization creates opportunities for all and also ensure that the benefits of globalization are shared better. The government can play a major role in making this possible. Now, some of the steps that the government can take are what? It can ensure that the labor laws are properly implemented and the workers get what? Their rights. It can also support small producers to improve their performance. If necessary, the government can use trade and investment barriers. It can negotiate with World Trade Organization for fairer rules. It can also align with other developing countries with similar interests to fight against the domination of developed countries in the World Trade Organization. So, this is exactly what the government can do and how it can play a major role in making everything possible in a fair way. Alright, that is everything possible as in fair globalization possible. So I hope you have understood that what is globalization. I hope you have understood what are MNCs and how the working of MNCs are enabled, what is World Trade Organization and impact of globalization on India, and finally the struggle for a fair globalization. So I hope you have understood it. I hope you have a great time. You can go to my Durab website and you can watch all the amazing videos which are out available there, and then you can also read the documents which have all the information which you need to crack almost all the exams. You can also go and give various tests to actually check your understandings. Thank you very much.